This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Marvin Percha Jr. I'm a meteorologist from currently working in the National Weather Service in Phoenix. I'm going to be giving you your presentation here, your Ken Reeves briefing for today. First of all, I wanted to give you an idea of my background. I've been interested in weather since I've been 4 years old. I was born in the Denver area. My parents mentioned I was very excited during the 1965 South Platte River floods. I actually grew up here in the Phoenix area. We moved here from Denver when I was 6, and I went to grade school, high school here. Since I was so interested in the weather and wanted to see snow again after I was so small in Denver, I decided to apply to Penn State, and I got accepted at Penn State. What I got is my bachelor's Earth Science medial emphasis. So I took just about all the meteorology classes that a Met student would take, in addition to many other ones that in the Earth Sciences program, like geology, geography, astronomy, so in other earth science classes. And then in the late 90s, I went to San Jose State University to get the few remaining courses in order to qualify as a Weather Service forecaster. Most of my schooling was in the early 80s, so it's been a while. Of course, I worked at Campus Weather Service. Then I was back in the days when they'd record the forecasts on the phone and transmit it to the local radio stations there in central Pennsylvania. So anyways, after going to Penn State, I became a forecaster in the Air Force. I worked at quite a bit of different places in my career. I was there, worked as an aviation forecaster at Kirtland Air Force Base. And then I worked for a DoD contractor after I got out of the Air Force at Buckley Field in Colorado. Then I went on in the early 90s, I went to work with the private sector, worked at ship routing at W&I Ocean Routes. At the time, the company was located in Sunnyvale, California. As many of you may or may not know, they're now in Oklahoma there. So I worked there for several years. I did ship routing, forecasts for marine interests all over the world. A very interesting job, dynamic job that involved not only meteorology, but oceanography and ship characteristics. Certainly it was a very challenging job. Then I became briefly a weather trainer at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. And finally, I got into the National Weather Service in 2001. I was a forecaster at the Fairbanks office up in Alaska for about 3.5 years. Then I went to the Oakland Fremont Air Traffic Control Center at the CWSU there. What we do in the CWSU is we provide weather support for FAA ATC operations. The Weather Service has, there's 21 of these CWSUs, and each one of them has 4 meteorologists. We're all National Weather Service meteorologists hired by the FAA. And then finally, I came here in 2012 here at NWS Phoenix, been here ever since. And I'm not only a forecaster here, but I'm also the observing program manager. So I take care of the co-op program, which is a network of thousands of observers that we provide equipment for, that they take observations for, some of them over 100 years, especially out there. Many in the Northeast have been observing for a long, long time. And I've been doing this work now for over 30 years. So what I'm going to do is start the briefing, and let me go ahead and close this up here. Okay, let me see if I can just go on. Okay, so anyways, my plan is here today is to do basically what we do every day in our office here in Phoenix at 11 o'clock briefing, our synoptic briefing. and what I'm doing today is I'm going to do it first as if I'm a forecaster doing for State College, and then I'm going to do the same thing for Phoenix for today. So first of all, the State College one, of course, it's always good to start out looking at your climatology, to get an idea of what is really kind of something that's typical and what's something that's atypical. I mean, I'm looking at your climatology here. XMACIS, right land, your normal high is 35 and a normal low is 20. Certainly you have a wide range in temperatures, highs as high as 62, as low as -6. So of course, being in the Northeast and there quite a variety of weather is you're experiencing there. In terms personally, when I was a student there, I saw 3 of the 4 coldest days on record in the early 80s, 90, 82, 83. The coldest was when the high was, I think, -3 and the low was -17, and the wind chill, it was the old wind chill calculation of 85 below. So I definitely saw my share of cold weather and some snow as well. Looking at your current observed snow depth from here, I'm just looking at, I guess, 3 inches now. So you guys certainly still have some snow left over from the last few systems. Another thing I like to do is kind of drill down to your rainfall here. I'm looking at your total record highest, what is it, 60 minimum 1 day for today. And actually the wettest day on record for you is 0.88. But I just want to use this as a comparison to what in Phoenix is like typically. And both of us have a very similar station history. Ours goes back to 1895, yours goes back to 1893. Looking at your precip records, it looks like out of those about 127 years, about 52 had measurable rainfall. So, you're looking at 40% of your days being wet or white. And the next thing we got to do is look out the window. I know the State College office has some very nice views. We don't. We're in a building that's windowless, so we rely on webcams. But looking at what it's looking like there right now in State College, it looks like a pretty nice winter day. I can definitely see the snow on the ground, just some high cirrus overhead, but really rather benign weather. It certainly could be a lot worse. And then kind of going on to what the satellite is here. We'll first look at the current satellite imagery for you guys there. I can see basically a long wave trough in the central part of the country. You do have a system moving up through the southeast. Okay, you guys are kind of in between them with just some high clouds overhead. And then upstream, looking upstream, I can see a rather active polar jet there bringing systems down through Alaska into this central part of the North American, central part of Canada there. So certainly pretty typical, but kind of quiet, looking like for you guys. And then onto the radar or the local satellite, the visible imagery here. As you can see, there's that system moving up to southeast, bringing some clouds. Precip, central Pennsylvania, really just mainly clear to just some high clouds. So, and I definitely can see your snow cover, especially over the ridges from central into northwest PA. Going to your radar, regional radar. Again, dry there across central Pennsylvania. Do see some rain moving its way up through the mid-Atlantic states up toward New Jersey. And then taking a look at your observations, State College Airport. Let me see, let me go ahead and refresh that. I think that's, there we are. So you're up in the low 30s right now. It looks like your low temperatures were in the mid-teens this morning. Calm winds, really just a kind of a chilly winter day there. Going on to the next thing we're going to look at is, let's see, I got to reload this, and what I'm going to do is kind of look at the regional observations there just to see what's going on in the State College area. And like I say, I'm seeing temperatures mid to upper 30s. Nobody reporting just some thin high clouds over the region. Now on to the forecast part here. Now that we kind of get an idea of what is going on and at the present time. Just looking at this is the operational GFS. You can see the weak low pressure off the Carolina coast, the trough in the midsection of the country. Just kind of going through the latest forecast, at least the operational model. This system really not even going to be an impact to State College. Just some weak troughing moving through. And the thing that sticks out to me as we go through the run here is that you do seem to have a northwest flow, a lot of clippers moving through. Not a lot of real active weather, but just it looks like a series of troughs moving through the next several days, bringing maybe some chances for some light snow and flurries. At least that's what the operational models show. Now, if we go on to the ensemble, I mean, one thing with the Weather Service is we're going to more of a probability and ensemble-based forecast scheme. We'll look at the GFS ensemble. You can see the troughing moving through the eastern part of the country, and kind of the same thing. As I said, there's a series of upper troughs that are dropping down from Alaska, Northwest Canada. Really going to be the regime through at least the early middle part of next week. And then after that, it's showing a little more ridging there, maybe the hints of a pattern change with more higher heights in the east and then lower heights in the southwest. I'm taking a look at the Euro ensemble. It's painting a similar picture with these troughs moving through the northeast. And then finally, by the end of the 8 to 10, it does show some signs of, again, a bit of a pattern change as well. One thing I like to look at in terms of moisture availability, this is a GFS PWatt normalized anomaly over the United States. And as you can see, it's pretty dry in State College. These systems look pretty moisture starved. They barely get up to what you would be a typical average mean for this time of year, maybe just a half to one standard deviation above when they pass through. So yeah, that's certainly something you would expect with these systems moving in from the northwest. And then now we're going to look at the clusters. So what we're going to do here is kind of get an idea of, let's see if I got the right ones here. Okay, here we are. So what we're going to do is kind of look at, these are the clusters, the Euro and CFC and the GFS models here. Just get an idea of how much variability is between the members here. As you go through day 3, day 4, pretty, and I would say unimpressive, but not a lot going on here in terms of height anomalies. You can see the different systems moving through. As you get toward the end of the period, there's a little more disagreement, but really the height anomalies are not anything off the scale, at least in Northeast US. Given that, we go on to the day 8 through 10, and that's kind of when the ensemble means we're showing some sort of a pattern change here. Looking at the members here for that, you can see definitely some spread here. Some of them are showing a trough off to the northwest, ridging here, another one here ridging, and then another set here showing a kind of weak troughing. So it's kind of a flat westerly flow, really not promising in terms of significant rain or snowfall, but just probably if you look at the percentage of ensemble members Here, cluster 1 is about 30% with the very weak ridging. Cluster 2 with the stronger ridging is about 30% here, and then another 13%. So the majority ensemble members are showing some sort of weak ridging over the northeast during the 8 to 10 day period. And then going on to a closer view of what, in terms of State College itself, its forecast, we'll look at the, this is the weather model website here. And as you can see, with the patterns of each of these systems, temperatures kind of yo-yoing up and down, for the most part near normal, and then dropping a bit below normal over the weekend. But then you can see later on the tendency, there's a lot of spread here, but the tendency overall in terms of the mean is temperatures to be just above normal, similar on the means. In terms of rainfall, let's see, we want to go to the 0Z here. In terms of QPF, it lasts at least through day 10 here. Not a lot there. 2/10 is the mean. A lot of members showing near nothing. So that's typical in your northwest flow pattern. There are just some, periods of maybe light rain and snow as these systems move through. Looking at your winds, and the more current one here. Let me see. Unremarkable in terms of wind gusts, maybe wind gusts peaking in the mid 20s. Now here's our model blend here, MBM blend here, current forecast, and as you can see, temperatures kind of yo-yoing up and down with a colder period over the weekend. In terms of temperatures, if we go on to the GFS equivalent, let's see, so we'll go to 60. We're looking at precip here for, let me change that to, it shouldn't be Sky Harbor, it should be UNV here. Get the right one. Okay, here you are. It's showing very similar to the Euro. Again, very light precip overall. A lot of members showing near zero. And finally, we go to our NBM 1D viewer here. That's what we use in looking at State College. Just this minute to load here. Let's see. Okay. Sorry for the delay here. It's just taking a little time here. Let me try one other thing here. Let me go to the other one. Oh, okay. Here we are. It's finally come up. Anyways, just a minute here. Let me try reloading it from scratch here. Sorry for the delay here. Okay, let me try this one here. Sorry about this. I was trying to show you the 4.1. Sometimes we have a little trouble with that. So I'm going to go to the 4.0 here. Okay, here we are. So anyways, it's showing, again, temperatures in 30s and low 40s through the week, and then dropping the 20s over the weekend. And you can get an idea of in terms of pops from this. If we do, we change that to precipitation here. This is kind of something we use in terms of our probability-based forecasting. In terms of if we were to work with Meteor or if we're doing with emergency managers, kind of this is a good graphic of an idea of really what the probability for certain amounts of precip are. You can see really for State College, the next best chance for any precip is Saturday, but you can see amounts are quite light. We struggle to get over 50% for QPF amounts over hundreds of an inch. Of course, it drops to near nothing for amounts that are much of a quarter inch. So certainly really very benign weather for you guys. And then on to, we'll do the snow too here as well. And kind of a similar thing here, probability of measurable snow. You can see it's really 40–50%. Very typical with this northwest flow. You know, you get you'll probably get some snow showers, snow squalls leave the lakes, but State College typically is too far away. So really not a heck of a busy period weather-wise here, but at least an idea of what State College is. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the one for Phoenix here. So let me see. First of all, I'm going to go to the climatology for us here in Phoenix. In contrast for you guys with your highs in the mid 30s and lows near 20, our normals are near 70 now, and our lows in the upper 40s. So certainly a lot different here. This is probably considered our best weather year, the winter. We, of course, have to endure our extremely hot summers with our average temperatures in the 105 to 110 range and extremes as high as 122. So this is what all the tourists come for here. In terms of our spread here, we've seen temperatures near 90 in early February, and lows as low as the mid-20s. Although many of these low temperatures have not occurred for quite a while, our urban heat island here has added anywhere from 8 to 10 degrees to our overnight lows. So it's really tough to get temperatures in the 20s anymore here because of that, and also as well as the climate change we've been experiencing as well. And then again, I just like State College, I'm looking at the rainfall in the terms of distribution and frequency. And in contrast to State College, where you had something like 40% of days that had measurable precip, our numbers are, you know, out 125 years, about 20 of them. So really less than 20% would we get any rain at all. And then looking out the window, a little different picture here in Phoenix. As we wait for this is downtown Phoenix. We'll be looking at here. There it is. This is looking north from downtown toward the mountains there on the north side of Phoenix. Clear skies, not a cloud at all. So a very nice quiet day. Looking at our satellite here, if we do the loop here, you can see this is the water vapor, very dry area over the southwest US. That's what's giving us the clear skies. Upstream from us, basically the jet stream is focused well to our north, up in Alaska, northwest Canada. There is a system offshore right now, but basically Chamber of Commerce weather. If you look at the local satellite, really no clouds at all. In terms of here in the southwest US, we are at 70 degrees, but we have mountain ranges here. Flagstaff's at 7,000 feet, a completely different climate up there. They have snow on the ground, temperatures and nightfall into the teens. They're as cold as you guys up there now. So in basically in 2 or 3 hours, I can go from a climate in the Southwest desert to something up in Southwest Canada. So we certainly have a variety of terrain here. And in terms of radar, really nothing to report radar-wise. In terms of local observations around the region, well, we go to them right now. Let's see. Let's do a refresh on this. Here we are. So we got them now. Temperatures right now, mid to upper 60s across the metro, light east winds. If you look at Sky Harbor, what it reported right now, of course, that's our major airport here. We provide the TAF for Sky Harbor, as well as 5 other airports around the region. Right now, they're showing the last report of 67. Our low is 51. The winds last night kept the low temperatures up. Other parts of the valley saw lows in the 40s. On to the forecast here for us, just the operational GFS. Going through that, really not much to talk about. The main thing here is from an operational standpoint. Now I'll just go ahead and go to the ensemble here. Is what we're looking at the next few days is we got northerly flow aloft, but strong ridging building in, heights rising. So we're definitely looking at a warming trend into the weekend. If you look at height anomalies, most of the really strong ones are north, but with that northerly flow and dry, we get a bit of downslope. And as a result, we're expecting warmer temperatures into the weekend and then early next week. But just like I showed you earlier, with that potential pattern change, we could see some cooler weather by the middle of next week. Certainly looking at the Euro version here. Height anomalies here. Again, similar story with the very strong height anomalies over the Northwest US. And then a kind of a transition as we go into the middle of next week to a potentially colder pattern or cooler pattern for us. And then again, I like looking at the PWAT anomalies here. Just an illustration how dry things are here. You can see just really very dry air dominating the region through the weekend and into early next week. And then as you go toward the end of the run here, let me just get it out to the middle of next week here. This is by middle of next week. We do show a little more moisture, but with that system dropping from the north, and our prospects for rainfall are pretty bleak, at least for the next several days. Looking at the cluster analysis here, looking at day 3, really not much to talk about here. Not a lot of disagreement, just the kind of high, dry northwest flow. Heights gradually rising over the region. So that's kind of it in terms of thing. And then later on, again, 8 through 10, you can see a large percentage of the models are showing some sort of or the ensemble members are showing some sort of troughing, dropping into here next week. So the prospects for cooler temperatures, you can see if you're looking at the number percentage, which over half are showing some sort of pattern change. So things are hinting toward pattern change here, just the same it is for you later on. And then on to the forecast here. We'll look at the Euro first. And you can see the gradual warm up in there. It looks like by the weekend, we're having temperatures near 80 degrees. So our prospects for our first 80-degree day of the year here look pretty good. It's about typical for this time of year, early February. The range of first 80 has been all the way from early January to early April. So, but this is pretty typical. Overnight lows kind of creeping up into 40s. And if we look at although I have to say that the Euro Ensemble does seem to have a cold bias in terms of our temperatures here locally. As you can see, the GFS version, again, temperatures near 80, lows near in the 50s. And in terms of prospects for rain, which for us here in the Southwest is something we always want to see. The Euro, again, the majority of the members are showing nothing or near nothing. The GFS is showing virtually nothing out through 10 days. And then on to the forecast here, the GF or the NBM 4.1, you can see it's guiding temperatures getting over 80 for the weekend. In terms, we get the questions from the media or some of our public citizens a lot of times. So what we can do here is we can say, well, what are the chances of it hitting 80 degrees here? So if we put in a value here for 80, you can see that in terms of the probabilities by the weekend, we're looking at probabilities of well over 50, 75%. So that's something we can communicate to media. We do have a race to provide a marathon here. We're providing DSS support for here. And so even though that the day from a standpoint of looks, rather boring, so to speak, they're always concerned in terms of as far as the runners, what to expect, how the runners should dress in the mornings. So certainly with the temperatures in the low 50s, the race starts before sunrise. They're standing around where the race is actually going to be. That's going to be in the upper 40s. It's a little cooler part of town. So this is a way they can prepare. If it's going to be cold, they might put up warming stations, let the runners stay on the bus. And then in the afternoon, if it's going to be warm, with these marathon runners, with our strong sunshine and temperatures over 80 degrees, hydration becomes an issue. So that's kind of it for my briefing. I hope everybody enjoyed that. Yeah, of course, you're always all welcome to email me or contact me if you have any questions. Also, if you have any discussion or wondering what it's like out here in Phoenix. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. If anybody has questions, feel free to put it in the chat or just a comment or anything. One thing I had mentioned this earlier, when you were showing the NBM for State College, it seemed like the day 3 was like a really like the consensus was really tight, which I think was a little surprising to me considering it's 2 or 3 days out from now. And then you compare it to today and tonight, which had a wider spread. So I thought that was interesting.
We encounter that a lot of times. A lot of times you actually can have a more confidence of a forecast or a pattern a few days out than you do in the very short term. That's a good observation of yours. Certainly things like when you get significant weather, happens here all the time, where there's a lot of uncertainty if we're going to get storms today, but gosh, next week is going to be high and dry. Yeah. So that's a good observation. Your point that just because it's further out doesn't always necessarily mean there's less confidence in the forecast.
I also thought it was interesting. And I think Brian had said this, the dew points in Phoenix. I don't think us here, we're not really used to like a 65-degree depression. So I like that must feel really dry. I've never I've never experienced that myself. You've sound like you've lived in a lot of places. I guess how would you say it compares to State College? Like even a dry day in state, like a dry day in State College, like is it like a drastic difference? Like do you feel it immediately, or yeah, what is that?
In Phoenix, you mean, that are really dry days? Yeah, you can. I've certainly it hasn't impacted the way the temperatures feel. You got to make sure and keep yourself hydrated. I'm a runner, so I have to make sure I'm well hydrated, and it can feel cooler than it really is in the spring months. Especially, we get our tourists or snowbirds that come out here, and they um, because of the dryness, it may be 85, 90 degrees, and they feel fine. I mean, what the so-called real field temperature is, in the 70s or something like that. But then they get out there in that hot sun, that bright sun, they don't keep themselves hydrated, and their body begins to stress as they get hot. And so not it's interesting. Our heat deaths here the majority of them are in the summer. But in terms of rescues, like from our mountain parks, the spring months is when we have the most of them, because you guys come from, it might be in the 20s and 30s, and you come out here and, you're just totally thrown off. Yeah, I mean, a dry day in State College might have a dew point depression of 30, 40 degrees. That's a really dry day. We've had dew point depressions well over 100 degrees. I remember one time there was a high temperature of 80 degrees and a dew point of 22 below zero. So yeah, it's your lips get chapped, and there was a stiff breeze too that even takes more moisture out of your body.
That can't that 102. Oh my goodness.
122, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Yeah. Oh, 102. Yeah, you're right. 102. Yeah. So yeah.
And then I have a non-meteorology question for you, just because you're from the Phoenix area. Does anybody care about the Arizona Coyotes out there?
No, not really. No, I mean, they just haven't done very well at all. And unfortunately, the ownership in the part of town that are in really hurts their fan base. The Suns and the Diamondbacks play downtown, and the downtown area is accessible pretty much from all parts of town. But the Coyotes decided to put something way on the west side, and with our traffic here in the afternoon and evening, it's brutal getting out there. And you can get away with that like the Cardinals do when you only have 8 home games a year. But when you have, well, how many games hockey has? 40 home games. It gets tiresome taking an hour and a half to get to a game and driving, and there's no mass transit options. It's not like I was a San Jose Sharks fan, and I lived in the Bay Area. We could take a train. I could walk to a train, take the train down, and go walk to the arena. We can't do that here. So they're. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up moving.
So you're saying
right
that
now,
it took like an hour and a half from like the other side of Phoenix to get to their arena, which is also.
yes, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We had a forecaster years ago that went to a game. It took him so long to get to the game that I believe he said the first period was already over. He missed the entire first period. So
Oh,
yeah, so that's not a way to run it, to do that. That's not right. The Suns are downtown. We have some light rail and stuff that we can get downtown to. So I grew up being a Suns fan, and they do have the best record in the NBA right now. So we'll see how they do.
yeah, I'll pull for the Suns for you. I know Chris Paul's on that team, and it'd be cool to see him win.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions or comments for Marvin here? You could throw it in the chat. We'll give it about a minute or so.
Okay.
Alrighty. Marvin Percha, NWS Phoenix, thank you so much for coming out today and giving the briefing. Very unfortunately for State College standards, winter wasn't the most active forecast and I had just forecasted earlier this morning. So yeah, a lot of like calm days, nothing really huge on the horizon, but nevertheless, thank you so much for coming out today. And
You're
yeah.
welcome. I had hoped that I could forecast a snowstorm, but no luck this time. Maybe next year.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah. So, anyways, you guys take care, and thanks a lot for inviting me here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for doing this.